So it looked like Angel Reese is back in the headlines after another unrivaled basketball game.
Did you catch what Angel Reese just did in her latest league matchup? She completely ignored Lexie Hull, who was standing wide open under the basket. A decision that highlights some major concerns about her game. Chicago Sky fans have every reason to be worried. In this video, we'll break down why Reese's performance is raising red flags, from her court awareness to decision-making and teamwork. We'll also analyze how these issues are impacting her development and why her teammates might already be feeling the effects of her self-centered play style.
No, we're not going to keep creating this false narrative that content creators is picking on Angel Reese, because Angel Reese does it to herself and she never ceases to amaze me.
Did you see that moment when Lexie Hull was all alone under the basket, arms up, waiting for an easy score? It was a textbook play, one that should have resulted in an effortless assist. But what happened next was truly shocking.
And how one performance, and most importantly, one particular play, should send a shiver of fear, should frighten the hell out of Chicago Sky fans everywhere, because it's something, frankly, Sky fans saw a lot of last year.
Let's break down this crucial possession. Rose, BC needed points and had the perfect setup. Hull made a smart cut to the basket, leaving herself completely unguarded. It was the kind of moment where players start celebrating before the ball even arrives, because the basket is inevitable.
And that's the fact that when Angel Reese gets the ball in her hands anywhere close to the basket, she will not give the ball up. It's selfish basketball. It's a lack of awareness. And this might be the most egregious case of it.
And yet, what happened next was baffling. Angel Reese, with a clear view of Hull standing there, completely ignored her. Instead of making the obvious pass, she turned her back on her wide-open teammate and forced up a contested shot with defenders all over her. Predictably, she missed it badly.
All right, now, let's look at it one more time. Hold on. Pass it in to Angel. Look at this, folks. That's Lexie Hull. Right there. Right there. Wide ass open. Does she get the ball? Let's.
Miscommunication. Rose didn't see it. Reese spins into a layup.
I mean, what are you doing?
This wasn't just a random mistake in the heat of the moment. This was a textbook case of basketball tunnel vision. Once Reese gets the ball, it's as if the court shrinks and she sees only the basket. Her teammates might as well not exist.
One more time. Full speed. Here we go. In. Cuts back into the lane. Wide open on the basket for the shot. Angel not only did not pass the ball back out to Lexie Hull, but she missed another freaking.
The stats from this game paint an even clearer picture. Reese shot just 4 for 10 from the field, and these weren't tough shots. They were routine finishes, like finger rolls and close-range attempts. These are the same struggles that plagued her last season with the Chicago Sky. A professional player should be making these consistently.
I can't believe that. I mean, Lexie Hull couldn't be more wide open there with nobody around. Just a little lay-in, ball comes into her, little lay-in, Angel gets an assist and plays good, sound basketball. Never happened.
Now, think about what this does to team chemistry. Imagine being Lexie Hull, making the right play, creating space, calling for the ball, only for your teammate to completely disregard you. How does that affect your energy on defense? How does it impact your willingness to keep cutting and making plays in future?
I mean, Lexie Hull, she starved to death. Right there, wide open. By the way, Lexie Hull, 1 of 9 from the field. She couldn't hit shit either. But, you know, I couldn't find any blatant instances of her being downright selfish as F.
What we're seeing is a selfish style of basketball that hurts everyone. Hull doesn't get the easy points she earned. The team misses a high percentage opportunity. And Reese herself suffers by forcing inefficient shots instead of taking what the defense gives her.
And I don't care that Lexie Hull was cold from the field. She didn't do well in this game either. But no thanks to Angel Reese, they certainly lost points on this possession.
Now, let's revisit her first half numbers. 8 points and 10 rebounds in just 13 minutes. That's solid production. Any coach would be happy with that. You'd expect Reese to come out of the locker room ready to build on that momentum.
But the article goes on to say Rose BC was on a 5-game winning streak, and another propelled them to a playoff spot. Star trio Chelsea Gray, Lexie Hull, and Angel Reese surely had the win in sight, but the performance only has come from one. The Chi-Town Barbie performance was a far cry from dominant 2020 she had just had days ago.
Instead, she completely disappeared. 0 points in the second half. Not a single field goal, not even a free throw. It was like she vanished from the game entirely.
So, her game yesterday. My God. Right here, 71-62, a loss. And her game was ugly. Real ugly. 4 of 10 from the field, so we're back to that. Can't shoot from the field at all. We're back to not making layups.
And it gets worse. Reese racked up 4 personal fouls in the second half. That's not just bad luck. It's a clear sign of frustration and poor defensive discipline. When a player starts accumulating fouls at that rate, they either have to play more cautiously, reducing their impact, or get benched altogether. Either way, it hurts the team.
Man, my God, it was bad. It really was. And she got completely shut out in the second half of this game. All right? Not involved at all.
While Reese was struggling, Chelsea Gray was putting on a masterclass. She dropped 38 points, showing what true competitors do. They step up when the pressure is on. Gray wasn't just scoring. She was leading, creating opportunities, and willing her team to victory.
So this is what happened. At halftime, Angel Reese had 8 points, 10 rebounds in 13 minutes. She shot 4 of 9 from the field, including 0 for 1 from beyond the arc, 0 of 1 from the free throw range. She had 2 turnovers. In the second half, she disappeared, folks.
The contrast couldn't be starker. One player rose to the challenge, lifted her teammates, and took responsibility. The other shrank from the moment, became a liability, and left her teammates hanging.
I mean, Chelsea Gray out there was fighting for her life, scored 38 points. 38 damn points, okay?
What's really concerning is that this wasn't just a bad shooting night. This wasn't about tough defense or missed shots. This was a total collapse when adversity hit. Reese had no backup plan, no way to adjust her approach when things stopped going her way.
To save the troubles, Captain Chelsea Gray stepped up big time. She ended the night with 38 points out of the team's 62 and 8 rebounds. That's why a fan added, poor Chelsea, she's really doing all she had to do to save her teammates.
Great players find ways to contribute even when their main strengths aren't working. If they can't score, they create for others. If they're in foul trouble, they focus on positioning and rebounding. Reese did none of that when her initial game plan failed. She had nothing left to offer.
The 22-year-old failed to add any points in the second half and ended with 13 boards. By the way, she also got herself in foul trouble, 4 personal fouls.
Imagine being one of Reese's teammates. You see her dominate the boards in the first half and think she's going to carry that energy forward. Then nothing. She disappears when the team needs her most. How does that impact trust and chemistry?
You're not going to be able to believe this. The lack of awareness here as to what to do with the ball and the selfishness it's appalling, frankly. If you're a hoops fan, if you're a basketball fan, and you watch this, I don't give a shit if you are an Angel Reese fan. You can't tell me this is not egregious.
And this chemistry issue isn't new. Marina Mabry wanting out of Chicago wasn't just a random decision. It was a direct reaction to the very problems we're seeing unfold again. When a talented shooter like Mabry suddenly wants to leave a promising team, you have to ask why. And now, the answer is obvious.
Now, I know people feel a certain type of way about Angel. It is what it is. But Angel have to do better with controlling the narrative, because what she's doing is making it worse, adding fuel to the fire. And she does this like every damn week, adding fuel to the fire.
Look at how Reese handled possessions in Chicago. Perimeter shooters were consistently ignored, game after game, play after play. This wasn't an occasional mistake. It was a pattern. And now, that same pattern has followed her to Rose, BC.
We saw her all year last year. Chicago Sky, rebound after rebound after rebound. Perimeter shooters, just Kennedy Carter over there on life support. Nobody's getting the ball thrown back out. No wonder Marina Mabry wanted out of town. Because once that ball got in Angel Reese's hands, everybody else on the team going to starve to death.
What's most alarming is how Reese's priorities seem completely out of sync with her team's needs. While her teammates were battling it out on the court, where was her focus? Before and after the game, she was busy taking photos with rappers and producers, more concerned with building her brand and building chemistry with her team.
We know that the Unrivaled League has been going up and down with its viewership. Some people have been tuning in watching it. Some people haven't been tuning in watching it. But one thing I can say is Angel keeping it entertaining, man, with the antics. Now, there has been rappers and celebrities pulling up, showing support to this basketball league, trying to help it get off the ground. And it seemed like the support is just not enough.
And it gets worse. After the game, Reese was spotted with rapper Ghana. Think about that. After a game where her team desperately needed her, instead of reflecting on her performance, she was out networking. Is it any surprise that her intensity on the court is lacking?
And I've said before, guys, I've tried to be real honest about the fact that I think Angel's more concerned about being an influencer, content creator, over being a better basketball player. And I think this might be the perfect example of that.
This isn't about criticizing Reese for having a public persona. Plenty of athletes successfully balance fame and performance. This is about knowing when to focus on basketball. There's a time for brand building, but it can't come at the cost of winning games.
All right, this is either before or right after the game. They got destroyed in this game, by the way. They did. This was her taking pictures, hanging out with some rappers and producers, etc. And Gunna was at the game. He got interviewed during the game.
The most damaging part of all this is how it impacts team dynamics. Basketball is the ultimate team sport. It requires trust and unity. But how can teammates trust someone who prioritizes personal stats and branding over team success? How can they rely on someone who disappears when the pressure is on?
You know, vivid.
What exactly is a classy girl?
Okay, now that sound you heard during that, was your IQ points actually going down while you were listening to that, right? Like 2 digits just fell off your IQ points while you were watching that crowd.
For Chicago Sky fans, this should be a major wake-up call. What's happened with Rose, BC isn't just an isolated game or rough patch. It's a preview of what could happen to your season. Reese will always rack up her bounds, but basketball is about much more than individual numbers.
Even Lexie Hull played bad in this game. But Angel Reese is just legendary bad, bro. I mean, she's horrible. This tweet right here stated, poor Chelsea, she's really doing all she could do for her teammates. She's doing all she could do. Of course she's going to look like the damn point guard, but she's doing all she could do.
Right now, we're watching a player who hasn't yet grasped the key to true greatness, making those around you better. Until Reese learns that this cycle will continue. Ignored teammates, poor chemistry, and underwhelming team results.
Chicago Sky fans, Carmelo Cardoso is probably ultimately the best player on your team, or should be. How you ever going to find out? How you ever going to find out if you're sitting there staring at what's 25 and 10 or 12 every night if she can't get the ball?
This goes beyond stats and highlights. Basketball analysts are pointing to a fundamental issue that's much harder to fix than shooting percentages. Reese's basketball IQ and decision-making. This isn't just speculation. Experts have directly linked her refusal to pass to open teammates like Hull to team chemistry problems.
All of this boiled back to when she was at LSU, stating that she don't have a problem with being the villain. Well, this is the villain role that she has accepted in the WSL, I guess, because she is constantly in the headlines for the wrong reasons.
The real question isn't whether Reese can rebound. We know she can. It's whether she can develop the court vision and intelligence to elevate her team. Will she recognize when a teammate has a better shot? Can she put her ego aside when the game calls for it? Until she addresses these core issues, Chicago's potential will remain limited. Sky fans should expect more than just highlight reel rebounds.